Only 7% of women and femme-owned businesses make over $250,000 a year gross.
Because so much was on my shoulders that I had to take care of me.
I honestly believe that hustle culture needs to die altogether.
And there was a lot of guilt around, I really literally only have 10 hours a week to work.
What happens when a woman decides to stop chasing the grind and start designing wealth on her own terms? Megan Hale didn't just reject hustle culture, she created a blueprint for aligning business growth rooted in ease, integrity, and profit. This is a story for every woman who's ready to disrupt how we build wealth and do business differently. Megan Hale is my guest today. She is a fierce advocate for doing business in a way that honors both wealth and well-being. She's the creator of the DreamMoney method and app and a former psychotherapist turned business strategist. Megan knows her shit when it comes to money and building dreams. She helps women shift from hustle to alignment and build businesses that are both profitable and fulfilling. She's not just teaching strategies, she's disrupting how women create power in business. And if you're looking to make big changes in your business and know exactly the steps that you need to take in order to do that, this is the show for you. Let's get started. You're incredible.
So are you?
Thank you. The work that you're doing is incredible.
Thank you.
You wear lots of hats in life. The hat that we're going to lean into, though, is fintech creator and how you have progressed in your own journey from psychotherapist
Yes.
to life coach to business coach, which you still are doing some life coaching and business coaching. But then also you at some point had an aha where you were like, this isn't enough and we need a technology and we need to get out of spreadsheets. And so you took this on and I'm so grateful that you did. And so introducing to you, Megan Hale of DreamMoney, welcome to Real Money.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I know. I'm really, really grateful that you're here. I am a member of DreamMoney. I'm so excited to sink my teeth into this technology. My money personality, if you don't know your money personality, go to lisachastain.com/quiz. My money personality is a dreamer. I think big.
I'm loving this already.
Yes, I think big. I dream big. I go big. I take butt pucker risks in my business. And here is why we are here today, Megan, because we had this conversation. You were like, we kind of did like a little date at first. And I was like, well, who are you? And you're like, well, who are you? And I was like, oh, you're cool. This is kind of how we make friends now, right?
Yes.
And then I was like, well, I'm on a mission to have women become the leaders of the world financially. You said, I'm on the mission for that too. We're doing it in our own ways. And here's why. We know women are climbing the ranks financially. More money is coming to more women this decade, more than ever before.
Yes.
And yet, only 7% of women and femme-owned businesses make over $250,000 a year gross.
Not take
home. And less than 10% of female coaches earn more than $100,000 a year.
I've seen that statistic too, which is so hard to see.
It is. I see that as opportunity.
100%.
That the lion's share is out there for us. And as lionesses, it's time for us to go get it.
You're saying all my favorite words. I'm a Leo over here. So.
Yes, we're in Leo. I think we're still in Leo season too.
We're in Leo season, yes.
Yes. So smart business design, confident business leadership, financial education. This is way more than a P&L.
100%. Yes.
Way more. And the dreamer in me is like, P&Ls are kind of boring because where is all of this going?
Yes. And I would say too, for entrepreneurs, like P&Ls are made for tax professionals and finance professionals. It's not a lot of helpful data for entrepreneurs to make strategic decisions.
What is the helpful data? Yeah. What is the helpful data?
Exactly. It's great to know where your money is going, but you have no way of knowing if that's a healthy way to be spending your money. And that's one of the things that we're really educating business owners on. But also, how do we earn more money in the most sustainable, smartest way possible?
It's a great question. How do we do it?
Yeah. So for me, the DreamMoney's approach is one, we have to get really clear on the target revenue goals we really need to be pursuing that are actually profitable and sustainable and meaningful for you and your life and your financial dreams, which is, I think, one of the reasons we connect so well. Because I think a lot of times we're pursuing a number that someone else has told us is enough,
Yep.
but we don't have a framework of really determining like what is truly enough for me and my dreams. How much do my dreams cost? When do I want to fund those by? And those are really, really important questions. So we're pursuing specific goals. And once we have those goals clarified, now we can ask the really smart question of what's the most sustainable way for me to get there? Because not all money is dream money. And I would imagine that most of us know what burnt out money feels like. I'm working way too hard for it, money. And so, how can we get more strategic with how we're designing our businesses so we have a more streamlined way to growth? And those, I think, are two of the main problems that Dream Money is really solving for people, is helping them get clear on personal, meaningful financial goals that make sense for them, and then the business model that's going to get them there that really honors their capacity.
Here's my dream, Megan. My dream, transparently, is that people can come to me and do the work to figure out that stuff on the mindset side.
Yes.
And the reason that we're partnering, which is an evolution kind of partnership, but that it is, we're just like we're getting to it, is that great. If you don't know, come work with me and figure it out. Instead of trying to fit into the box of 10% profitability or 20% profitability and trying to find the rules and do it right, make it work for you, figure it out for you first. And now, because of you, Megan, there's an actual tool that then syncs with that. Yes. Versus just giving you a prescription and go to QuickBooks and just look at your percent to revenue income.
Yes, yes. And that's like one of the biggest goals for us here at Dream Money, is really partnering with other allied professionals. We're going to provide the software, but when it comes to bespoke coaching and really looking at what does this look like for you and your business, having someone else who can really hold those conversations for you is going to be key.
It's absolutely key. I have been down the wormhole, and daily I'm getting emails from tech companies saying, hey, try our app, hey, try our app. And the one thing that I see over and over and over again is it's just another glorified budgeting tool.
Yes.
How is Dream Money not that?
So we don't really do any budgeting. We do put in your spending plans.
Sure.
So, and that's really essential for us to understand what your true financial needs are. So how much does it cost you to run your business? How much does it cost you to pay your team? How much does it cost you to reinvest back into your business? How much does your personal life cost? So we're really getting clear on those numbers for you, but we're not tracking any of your spending at all. It's really around, how do we get clear on your financial needs? How do we get clear on your financial dreams? And then we move straight into business strategy after that. So with Dream Money, although on our product roadmap, we do eventually want to have accounting woven in, we're not doing any of those features right now.
No.
And so there isn't really a platform on the market that's really helping you get clear on how to earn more money in the most sustainable way possible.
That's right. And we know for most of my clients, Megan, when they come and sit with me, they're expecting me to tell them to cut back and that their spending is the problem. My number one feedback to people after I look at their financials is, you're under earning.
For everyone who's listening to this, there's a huge smile on my face right now. Because yes, that's one of the things I think is the biggest detriment, because when we don't know our numbers, it's very easily to undercharge. It's very easy to do that.
Undercharge. And then we hide from the numbers because of the decisions that we made when we were kids about what it meant. Or like me, I got a B in math in 4th grade and just decided that I was horrible in math. Therefore, I sucked at it, which really isn't true at all, but created an aversion to numbers.
Yes.
And Dream Money is a soft landing. Your world is a soft landing.
Yes.
For women to say,
yes.
All right, well, let's just figure it out.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I think one of the biggest reasons we've created this is I've been teaching this methodology for 8 years. And there's 2 things that always show up. One, a spreadsheet adversity for most people, because it feels overwhelming. You feel like you're going to break some equation. You don't know how to fix it. So how can we just erase that issue? And the second thing that shows up is math trauma. This fear that you don't know how to do math well, you're going to screw up an equation, you're not going to have real numbers. So how can we create software that's doing all of that heavy lifting for you?
It's brilliant.
We're really excited about it.
I know, you should be. I'm super excited about it too. All right, so for you You're not about hustle culture. I'm not about hustle culture. I honestly believe that hustle culture needs to die altogether.
Yes, here.
When a woman right now, like my nervous system, when someone just tells me to work harder, I want to move in the opposite direction because I'm over it. I'm a 45-year-old woman. I have teenagers. I want to wake up in the morning and go to yoga and still earn $3 million.
Yes, I'm
I don't
here
want
for
to work
this.
harder. And you also made that decision at some point. I watched on social media, on Instagram, you were telling the story that I believe you were pregnant and your husband was being deployed, which
Yes.
is a direct equation of like, fuck, I'm going to have to work really hard right now. And
Yeah.
when did you realize that for you, hustle harder was not the model? And what are you doing to help women shift out of that culture?
Yeah. I mean, I think that hustling that year I knew it wasn't an option because so much was on my shoulders that I had to take care of me.
Yeah.
Because if I fell, I mean, I was taking care of two kids under two that year while my husband was gone for 6 months. So I knew that I had to be really, really wise and intentional with my energy and my reserves if we were going to make it through that year. And even just protecting my mental health, like for all moms, those early years of motherhood are just, they're very demanding
Yeah.
on like physically, spiritually, mentally, all the things. And I also was a business owner. And so, what did it look like to make space for all of these things in the most sustainable way possible? And so, I had to get radically honest with myself that year. And there was a lot of guilt around, I really literally only have 10 hours a week to work when I was used to working 40, 50 hours a week, right? And so I was like, realistically, I only have this much amount of time. And also, I want to make twice as what I'm used to. And that felt like an almost impossible equation, but it was the right equation for me to sit with because I asked myself the right question. How could I double my revenue working very, very minimally? And that's going to invite you to think about leveraging your time and your energy and expertise in new ways that you might not have thought of before. And that's exactly what happened for me. So that year was a very transformative year. I created one offer that allowed me to work very, very minimally, like 5 hours a week, because the other 5 hours in that 10-hour work week had to be spent on all the other things that a
Yeah.
business needs to run. And I doubled my revenue that year and also doubled what I was paying myself, which are two different numbers.
Two totally different numbers.
So that was just so transformative for me. And so much money healing work happened that year too, because I had consistent cash flow for the first time ever in my business, working less, like not hustling at all, even though it was a very hard year personally.
Sure.
And that just changed how I thought about business design, how I thought about financial stability and the quickest and most streamlined way there.
Mm-hmm.
And that really became the foundation for all that DreamMoney has really grown into today.
I love it.
Yeah.
Specifically, was it just charging more? Was it putting together a program? What was it that doubled the revenue?
So back then, this was like early stages of my business. I had just made the transition from therapy to coaching, which is a very big mental construct to shift into, especially from a pricing perspective.
Yep.
Because as a therapist, charging $150 an hour, like you're at the top range already, or at least I was in my area. And then moving into the coaching arena, that's like the bottom of the barrel, right? And so that took me some time to really think about that. But in that year, I created a 12-month program that was a tiered program. And I loved tiered programs because you get to create more accessibility for your people, but you also get to add more revenue potential for work you're already doing. And so that offer that year was a 12-month program for 20 women. We had two different tiers. One was like just a community level tier. And then the other one was community plus one-on-one support that just had one one-on-one call a month. And that was what took me to that double of revenue, right? And it was also very accessible pricing back then too, because that year I really only needed like 60K to take me to a place where I had consistent 5K months.
Yep.
And then I ended up doing that plus paying off 30K in business debt that year by stacking other offers on top. And so that offer that year, our community level was 150 a month. And our one-on-one tier was only 350 a month, which felt like a stretch for me at the time. And I think that pricing, my hourly rate as a like business strategist now is like 1,500. So I've like 10 times my rate over the years. But it takes some time to really, I think, get client results, like build that confidence, all of those things. So I'm really proud of the shifts that I made that year and also how I structured that offer because it was just a game changer that took me
Yeah.
to my first 6-figure year and then multiple 6 figures soon after that. And like it's just been growing ever since.
I love that you broke that down for us because that's exactly where so many women are right now. And I've coached therapists who are in that process. And that's exactly where I started too. I was a financial advisor, which at that time, a decade ago, there wasn't fee based, really a whole lot of that anyway.
Yeah.
And coaching, money coaching was really not a thing. So I went from making like hardly any money to charging 150 an hour to having a group program for $300. And I made 6 figures. I made $128,000 in 10 months by doing that.
Yes.
And it felt like freedom for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even, I remember just sitting in tears. Like I didn't even realize that I had had like a 60K launch until months later when I was breaking it down with my friend. She's like, so hold on a second. Like you had a 60K launch? I was like, did I? Oh, I guess I did. But I just priced things on a monthly basis. That was what I was really focusing on and not the total, cash in the door. So yeah, I think so many of us want to skip over, I think, the gradual steps that really allow us to embody new price points confidently. And that stuff takes time if you're going to do it right for your nervous system and for
Yeah,
your audience.
I totally agree. Nervous system work is non negotiable in expanding
Yes.
your capacity.
Yes.
Melissa Blinn and I, she's all over. I've done several episodes with her. We host a retreat annually all about your capacity and the nervous system work that goes with the money work. And I know that
Yes.
you're super aligned with that. So ladies, if you're listening, I know you're listening because you're listening to us right now. Take that from this conversation. First of all, start with where you're at. Don't judge yourself from where you're not. And one thing that I know on social media for sure is you've got a lot of people telling you that they're running multi-million-dollar coaching businesses. And I don't believe that that's actually the case.
Yeah.
So do your due diligence when you're working with a coach to understand how they're making that money, where it's coming from, and also where they started. Because most
Yes.
coaches don't start making millions.
No.
The majority don't anyway.
Yes. Yes.
But to your point of all of this is none of that matters unless you know how it's going to personally connect, because you might decide that all you need is $60,000 a year to live the life that you want to live, or all you need to make is $300,000 a year. One of my dear friends, Ati, and I just had this conversation on Instagram yesterday. The point is you get to decide what the number is, and
Yes.
then figure out how you're going to work and model your business from there.
Yes, this is a soapbox I have been on for years because
Yes.
I despise like the 10K month, 20K month, 50K month,
Yeah.
100K month conversation. Those numbers mean nothing unless there's relativity in your life and for your family and your dreams and what you're really trying to create together. I much prefer to take that approach to numbers. And like even with our good, better, best goal calculator inside DreamMoney, you're not ever going to see a 10K number or a 20K number. It's going to be $12,742. Like it's very, very specific to how much you truly need.
Yeah. This is something that I'm rejecting and disrupting in my world is you won't see me a whole lot on social media or my website shouting from the rooftops people's financial goals for that reason.
Yeah.
Because if you go to a coach's website and they're like, I made $5,000, I made $10,000, I made $20,000, it really is like so abstract to your personal life. It doesn't matter. And then all you end up doing is judging yourself for what you don't or what you're not. And it's like feeding this scarcity beast that I think is ultimately so unhealthy.
Yes.
So stop comparing yourself and your revenue to other people. It doesn't
Yes.
matter.
Amen. And I think the other thing is too, a lot of what's happening on social, like using these numbers, is it's not telling us the most important piece.
Yep.
Because it's not just top line revenue, it's the margins that you have behind the scenes that matter immensely with how your money feels and also what it's funding for you. So for instance, somebody might be saying, well, I made 10K, but they spent $7,500 to get there, right? So that's really not nearly as impressive as the sparkly 10K. And so I want women in particular to be having a much more nuanced, layered conversation around revenue and money, because it really, really matters immensely with how your money is supporting you and your dreams behind this.
I totally agree. I couldn't agree with you more. And depending on what industry you're in, the margins are going to be different.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So coaching, and I have several clients who are interior designers,
yes,
tend to have pretty high margin revenues,
Yes.
meaning let's break this down. Okay. Let's break this down to you in this moment. When I mean high margin, low margin, and Megan's going to help me do it too. If you have low costs, so coaching, other than what we mostly marketing is the biggest cost that we have as coaches.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
If you're a coach, you have a very profitable business. You can charge $300 an hour. And unless you're spending a bucket load, which I do in marketing, a good portion of that, 60-70% of that can come back to you in the form of
Yes.
profit.
Yes.
But if you sell pencils, right? So lots of women have lots of different kinds of businesses.
Yes.
A good majority of the costs that you have. So I have a client that owns an HVAC company. Well, 60%. So if you charge $1, 60 cents of that is going to go back to costs.
Yes.
And your margin will be lower. And then you have the cost that it takes to operate your actual business.
Yes.
So maybe even though you're making $3 million, you might only have a 10% margin at the end of the day.
Yes.
So not all businesses are created equal. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think that's so important for women to understand of what type business that they're running, because the lower your overhead, the greater, right? Like the leaner you can run your business, always the better. But sometimes, depending on the business model, like even leaning out, like a restaurant, for example, even if you are as lean as possible, your margins are still incredibly tight just because of the nature of the business. And so I think understanding what's expected and typical in your business model is also really important too, for just, are you even in the game park of what this should look like?
Exactly. And so you can learn through Megan, through Dream Company, through DreamMoney, how to actualize numbers that make sense for your lifestyle.
Yes.
And the number one bleed to your business, by the way, is your lifestyle.
Yes. Oh, I would totally agree.
Yeah.
I would say the other place that we see bleeds quite often is also with team, because people tend to overhire and they're holding these very, very expensive teams when they actually need to be running leaner. And then their reinvestment margin can also be fairly high, because we live in a world where there's so much goodness and greatness to invest in. And so we really want people to understand how much they really should be reinvesting back into their business, because that can also greatly disrupt your profitability.
Yes, it can.
Yeah.
Yes, it can. How long should someone reinvest into their business before they shift over to being able to take out more for themselves? Because they're like, and it depends, right? There's an early stage of business where you might need to reinvest back into your business more. But so you have, I guess maybe this is a good place to take it. You have good, better, best goals.
Yes.
And how do you walk someone through those ebbs and flows of business?
Yeah. So I think about business developmentally, because background as a psychotherapist, so this kind of just tracks. So we have different phases of business growth. And in my mind, we have the building phase. And this is going to be your most expensive phase, because you're typically having to skill yourself up and school yourself up on what it takes to run a successful business. And during this stage, you're likely going to feel like you have so much money going out and not as much coming in. And that is very, very normal. I think when people are in that phase, they feel like they're failing.
Yeah.
And there's going to be startup costs to any business. So the thing that I usually refer to is when you're going to get a degree in something, you're paying all of this money up front to get that education. So then you make that money back after you graduate. It's very similar in business. When we move out of building stage, we're very clear on usually what it is that we do and who it is that we serve. Now we move into the next stage, which I think is the refining phase. Now we're refining how we get people the best results. This is usually when a lot of your methodology is going to start coming out if you're a service-based business, which is, my prior expertise. And we're building a lot of systems. We're trying to systematize things that are creating more sustainability and capacity in the business to start serving more people.
Mm-hmm.
In this stage, you're still likely going to have a lot of investments around some of those key concepts of learning how to build key systems, learning how to, if you're building group programs, for instance, you might be investing in curriculum design or learning more about adult learning. How can you create the best possible program with the best possible outcomes? Okay. Once we have that built, then we move into the next stage, which I see as streamlining. That's when we're really starting to think about how does everything we're offering fit together? What does my offer suite look like? How do we create this organic sales engine in my business so one offer is really selling into the next and all of those things?
Yep.
Here, you're really focusing on marketing and messaging. So again, you might have some investments that are directly related to that if you're noticing an education gap here. But in the streamlining stage, you're usually starting to invest less and start to put more money into team. So that's going to support the operations of your business. And then the last stage in my mind is that then we're ready to scale. Okay. So scaling up is now we have everything built and we're really ready to serve more people. And here you're probably going to see more money be spent in advertising to grow your audience, to get enough reach to really support your scaling revenue goals. But your team, we really want to keep lean in that season.
Yep.
You're not really reinvesting a lot into your education at this point because you're skilled up and schooled up on what it really needs, right? So a lot of that money is going to go into ads, and we have margins that break down. Like most small businesses are going to be spending like anywhere from like 7 to 10% of their revenue on marketing, depending on their marketing strategy. We like to see businesses, depending on the type of business, to be somewhere around 5 to really make sure that you're getting that ROI from your ad spend before you start scaling that up. So that's how I think about it. And I think it's really important to think that there's these 3 different stages that come before we even think about scaling. And so many times you're like, I'm just ready to scale. I'm like, no,
but you're not.
No, not even close.
You're not. That I love the way that you describe those stages. And so the question back to you today, the listener, is what stage are you in? And give yourself full acknowledgement and grace and ownership of that stage. Because if you're anything like me as a Dreamer Money personality, I hop onto all these different websites, or I'll look at Instagram or Entrepreneur Magazine or whatever, which I've been featured in. And I'm like, well, I'm not there yet. And then I'm like pissed and I want to skip steps, but you can't skip steps.
You can't. And it'll come back to bite you if you try and scale too soon.
Yep.
Because you don't have the infrastructure yet to support the delivery. Things will start to break if you try and skip over steps. And the people that usually suffer, well, 1, you're going to suffer because you're going to feel stressed out. And 2, your client results also tend to suffer because you're just stretched too thin. Right. And so you don't ever want to let that be the variable that falls, because that's the thing that all of your business is really built upon, is your client outcomes, that word of mouth, the way people think about your brand and the trust that you've built with your people.
That's right. That's right. So hone your craft first.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And I think from like a timing perspective, it's really hard. I would say if you're like super clear, depends on how long you stay in the building stage, honestly, because I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I'll be in the building stage in year 1. That can actually last from 1 to 3 years because you might think that you have clarity on this is what I want to be doing and this is who I want to be serving. And then as you start to deliver that work, you're like, this isn't quite it. Or something else will show up in your life that you want to weave into how you're supporting people. So that can take some time to really get that dialed in. That's right. And then refining, depending on what past experience and education you're bringing to that process, right? That could also take a couple of years. And so I think like the scaling stage realistically is like the earliest, I think, is year 7 or 8.
I agree.
Honestly.
I agree, which is so real. Thank you for being real and honest, because this is what people need to know. This is what my clients need to know. This is what women need to know, is that it's going to take time for a reason. It's not because you suck. It's not because you're not great at what you do. It's not because you're destined for failure. It's just that it takes time. And in all of the research that I've done, it's a 10-year window. There is no such thing as an overnight success.
Yes. The first person I worked with on money, this was back in like 2019, I think. She told me, because I was so in my head, that I should be further along by now. And
Yep.
that is one of the worst things for us to say to ourselves. But I was just stuck in this and I just felt so defeated. I felt like I was a failure. And she said, Megan, usually it's going to take 7 years for a business to have any level of like consistent, sustainable cash flow. And it took me 6 years because, right, we had the big shift in 2018, but it took me some time to get that to happen over and over and over and over again. So I'm so glad that she said that to me, because I'm kind of the person, like, if you tell me how much it's actually going to take, I have that personal resolve of like, okay, I can be committed to that process. And I have a very different expectation of when I should be seeing these results.
Yeah, it's so honest and so real and so important, because if someone's telling you anything other than this, they're just trying to sell you into their program.
Yes, because faster is always better.
Yeah. And it's bullshit.
It's totally bullshit.
Bullshit. It's bullshit. Because you, again, going back to your nervous system too, you're in the experience process of $100 million.
Yeah.
I've seen you say that. I don't exactly know what that means. Hopefully you can break that down. But I can imagine you've needed to expand your capacity. You've needed to expand your nervous system in order to be able to receive that, call it in. What's that been like to go from $60,000 a year to evaluation?
Building 100 million.
And it's not, I mean, to be clear, I'm pretty sure it doesn't mean $100 million in cash flow, but it's evaluation ultimately of how this whole app and fintech is going for you. So what's that journey been like for you?
Yeah. Let me break down where that 100 million is coming from. So, first of all, when you move from being a business owner to being a founder, these are two very different roles. And I was not prepared for that at all. A small business owner is someone who doesn't necessarily have the vision of building multiple $1 million to have an exit one day of selling their company for $1 billion, right? That's not how small businesses operate. A startup is a very different animal where you are looking at that type of scale. And so it was last year that I went and applied for a very big grant opportunity. You could win up to $150,000. It's the most competitive grant in the state. And I said, you know what? I think I have a shot at this and I'm going to apply. And so part of that application process is I had to build out a business plan, which is different than a revenue plan. Okay. So I build out revenue plans all day, every day. A business plan is much more thorough. I had to YouTube what all goes into a successful business plan. And there were 3 numbers that I had to calculate, which are called your TAM, SAM, and SOM. And these 3 numbers really clarify your total addressable market. How many people in the world or in your niche could actually use your product? Okay. Then you have to go to your SAM, which is your serviceable addressable market. Out of all the people who could use this, how many people are you likely to serve?
Yep.
Okay. Then you have to do the third calculation, which is your SOM, and that is your serviceable obtainable market. So how many of these people are we likely to actually capture, okay, and serve? And so the numbers start out really, really big and get smaller. And what somebody told me is that if your SOM, so the smallest number, is not at least $1 billion with a B, okay, I don't even have a shot at getting investors, getting this grant. And I said, I'm coming from an industry where $1 million business is a big deal. And now we're talking about $1 billion. So I had to look at the numbers. And when I calculated that number, we were at $2 billion with our SOM. So I was like, okay, this is the first paradigm shift. Okay. So then I had to say, okay, that could be where we end up. But now I have to run my financial projections of the next 5 years, because that's another part of the business plan. So before I sat down to look at any of this and do any of these calculations, I thought DreamMoney might be a $5 million, $10 million company, which is still amazing for any woman entrepreneur. We were at $5 million in year one, like once we got our product to market. We were at $100 million by year 5 if we hit all of our targets. And the thing that really broke my brain is that for us to be at 100 million, we only have to support 2% of women-owned business owners who need this. 2%. So that's where that $100 million, that number is coming from. But I'll never forget when I was looking at that and doing all the math, like, Lisa, I did the calculations like 5 times. I'm like, I've never played with this many zeros. Like, something must be wrong. But once I knew like there's no mistakes, I remember there was a very distinct moment of like, okay, Megan, like, this is how big this can be. You've never done anything this big. Are you game to take this on? And I really sat with that because I'm like, can I be the person that takes that on? And that was the day that I committed to this of saying, okay, whatever is going to be asked of me, whoever needs to come across my path, like whatever this is going to look like, I am willing to just let's go for it. Like, what is the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
So we've really been on that journey ever since.
That's amazing. I call these butt sweat moments, like literally when these things happen in my life, I like sweat all over the place. What is the work that you've done in your nervous system to be able to stay on this path and track it and still be a present mom and still connected to Dream Money, live the lifestyle that you want to live?
Yeah. So very similarly, like when I'm coaching someone around stepping into different price points, the way the nervous system works for me is that we can think something intellectually, but we really need it to register in our body and our somatics.
Yeah.
And the way that I have done that is that I have to verbalize things out loud. I can't just think about the number. I have to start saying the number.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're talking about a price point, I will tell my clients, and they think I'm probably totally nuts, but I say, I want you to walk around your house and say your new price point out loud. It's $1,500 a month to work with me. It's $2,000 a month to work with me. Whatever your number is. I want your nervous system to totally freak out the first time you say it. And I want you to have all the feels like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm charging that. Like, oh my God, are people going to pay it? Whatever the nervous system does.
Yeah.
And then I want you to keep going until you can say that new price point like it's saying the sky is blue. That's how I want your nervous system to respond. There's nothing to respond to. It just is what it is. We've taken the emotional component out of it, right? That's been one of the strategies that I've used here. And I first shared this $100 million vision at a conference that I was speaking at last September. And I remember sitting in that chair of like, can I say it? Because what are people going to think? That was the first thought that I had. Who is this girl who thinks she can build this $100 million business? Or I was afraid that people would compare, like, oh, my dreams aren't big enough because they're not. I never want people to feel like they're not pursuing something big for themselves. Big is relative, you know?
Yep.
But I took a deep breath and I shared it. And I've been sharing it ever since for part of my own nervous system regulation work. I'm just reminding myself, like, this is what we're building. And it's okay to say it. It's okay to claim it. And it's okay to remind yourself of your vision publicly.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
This has been so great. This has been so great. Yeah, I'm so grateful that you're here. And I know that whoever is benefiting from this conversation is taking these takeaways from you. So let's shift gears and talk about calling women forward.
Yes.
I believe without a shadow of a doubt, and I heard it last night. I heard a guy say this last night, and I was like, yes, that for the world to heal, it is going to require women to lean in, to step up, but not in the masculine. It's going to require us to claim and own. And I truly believe this to my core, that when women are in financial ownership of the world, everything will change. And we are in that century of it happening. We are in the moment, and you are taking the lead. I'm taking the lead in my way. What's one small but powerful disruption any woman can make in her career and business today?
The first thing that comes to me is that you have to trust yourself to take risk. And what feels risky right now might feel so small and silly that it feels risky, and do it anyway. Because the minute you start to take the risks that feel risky for you, the more capacity you're going to build to take bigger risks later. And I firmly believe that we're not going to create the world that we want to see until we get comfortable being risky.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I love that. I love that. And then attract people in your life who are going to support you in taking the risks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. On the front end and then on the back end, because you will have a vulnerability hangover sometimes. Can I really do this? Right? Like, there's so many times I've taken a big leap in like that 5 minutes of bravery or 5 seconds of bravery. I'm like, I totally got this. And I say yes to the thing. And then like literally an hour later, I'm like, oh my God, what did I say yes to? Like, can I really do this? And like, you need your scaffolding. You really, really do.
You do. And it's going to take money to get there.
Yes.
Do not be delusional about that. It's going to take money, and probably way more than you think it's going to. So learn how to arm up and level up financially.
Yes. Yeah. We live in a system where money equates to options, freedom, power, decision making. And I know in the beginning, I didn't want that to be true and I wanted to create something different. But then I realized in order for us to create something different, we have to play these rules and win at the same game so we can change things from the top.
That's right.
So, and that has been very freeing for me, honestly, of partnering with money, seeing it as the way through.
Yeah.
And that's just a beautiful type of relationship for you to be cultivating anyway. That money's really on your side. It's on your team. It's like here to help you do amazing things in the world.
That's right. I love the nonprofit model, and it does such great work in the world. And for those giver money personalities out there, why not just start your own business and
Yes.
own it from the top and make the
Yes.
impact from the top? And it doesn't have to be a nonprofit to be impactful. When women look back on this generation of entrepreneurs, what do you hope they'll say about the way we have changed the narrative around money and business?
Love these questions, Lisa. They're like thought provokers. I hope that women will have transformed the way that money is often demonized and seen as something that's taboo. And that if you want money, it means something about you that we don't do to men. We typically tend to do it only to women. That we have changed the narrative so much that women talking about money, wanting money, making money, holding money, giving money, all the things is like the most normal thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I want that too. Well,
Yes.
you and I are going to lead the way on that.
Yes.
We are leading the way on that.
Yes. It's
I love
happening. Like we're literally in process of it right now.
Yeah. Okay, so for a little fun, one of my favorite road trip games or friendship games is This or That.
Okay.
I've played it with like first and second graders who absolutely love it. So let's tap into our inner child here for a moment, and we're going to do rapid fire This or That. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Beach day or mountain escape?
Mountain escape.
Zip lining or yoga retreat?
Zip lining.
You're my girl. Champagne.
Oh, that is really hard. Oh, I'm going to go tequila.
Heels or sneakers?
Oh, I've really been loving my heels lately. I'm actually going to go heels.
First class flight or private villa?
Private villa.
Karaoke night or silent disco?
I just did my first silent disco a couple of weeks ago. It was so fun.
Bookstore browse or Netflix binge?
Netflix binge.
Sunrise meditation or midnight brainstorm?
Sunrise.
Bold lipstick or no makeup glow?
Bold lipstick.
Cash flow now or long-term wealth later?
Long-term wealth.
Risk it all or play it calculated?
We all know the answer to this one. We're risking it all. We're going all in.
Grow fast or grow steady?
Steady.
I love that. Where can people find you, and how can they subscribe to Dream Money today?
Yes. So I am most active on my Megan Hale Co. Instagram. We have a Dream Money Co. one, but it's just kind of there for right now. You can learn more about our product at dreammoney.co. And there's two ways of joining Dream Money, either on a quarterly subscription, which is $297, or you can join yearly for $997, get 2 months free. Plus, we have some one-on-one bonuses offered at that level too to really incentivize. One of the biggest reasons that we want to incentivize the yearly subscription is one, it's great for cash flow for a startup. I want to be very transparent about that because it's very expensive to build software. But the second reason is, I'm sure you'll agree with this, when it comes to creating financial change in your life and in your business, this is something it's going to take some time. And so having a framework that's supporting you, having a process and a practice that are supporting you, that's what's going to lead to the highest outcomes. And so that is why we really want to see more people saying yes to Dream Money for a year. And the outcome is that you'll have Dream Money at the end of this thing, which stands for deliberate, reliable, easeful, abundant, meaningful money, by the way.
Who doesn't want that?
Exactly.
Maybe you didn't know you wanted that, but now you're like, yes, I want that.
Yes, exactly.
That is what we want for you. We want you to live your best life, leading from the top of your life financially.
Yes.
This software works when you work with it.
Yes.
You cannot, please take this today and implement it in your own life. You cannot outsource your dreams. You cannot outsource your numbers, but you can play with it and enjoy it. And that is what Dream Money is here to do, is to teach you the method so that you can see that it's possible and then you can go do it. Megan,
Yes.
thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And what's one thing you want to leave with our community?
I think the one thing that I want to leave is no matter how money is feeling for you currently right now, just know that change is possible because I see it every single day. But it comes from really showing up, taking the risk to get uncomfortable, and doing the work. And all of us have access to that.
Yeah, we do. All right. You heard it from Megan. You know where to find her. Follow your dreams. They are absolutely worth it. Nothing is too big. Everything is possible. And we'll see you next time on Real Money. Thanks for joining us.